All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully Jeff can make it in here. If not, I know he's he's out traveling around with the family, so sometimes he gets sometimes he doesn't have internet. So just quick update. We are hoping to have the first building done here in the next week so we can start leasing it up. Um, and Jeff is already working on our software. I think he's already signed up for the service, and then we're going to build that. It's kind of interesting. There's a handful of digital property management companies that you can use for self-storage, and they have website essentially design tools and that sort of thing. And we can use them for payment and lockouts and all that. It's really interesting. So Jeff is working on all that right now. We're waiting for our first batch of LED lights to come in, and then we're going to test them, make sure they work. We're ordering like 130 or 140 of these things, one for each one of the exterior of the units, and then the little areas right by the driveways. The interior of the units, which is what they're working on right now, are going to be, we're going to have like regular electrical power to those. Each one's going to have a single light and then a timer that will turn the light off automatically after 15 or 20 minutes. So that's kind of where we're at right now. All the pictures and videos have been uploaded to the Google Drive, so y'all can take a look at those. Talked to my bookkeeper earlier this week. She is working on actually catching up as her daughter's had some significant health issues since they've gotten back from the UK. And she should have books for us here. I'm hoping November, first week in November, second week in November. And I'll upload all the books and bank accounts and all that stuff so you guys can see where all the money's going for those of y'all that have invested in the project. Like I said, we're looking for first week in November, if not sooner, to have that first unit up and running. And as we're releasing that up, the other units should be finished pretty soon here. So thank God the weather's been good. It has not rained in Houston since like September 12th or 15th. We're technically in a drought right now, if you can imagine that. So one of the big challenges that we had over the summer, which delayed the project for at least 4 weeks, was the hurricane and then that other giant storm. And then literally it was raining every day at about 2 or 3 o'clock. And one of the big lessons learned on this project that's different than a lot of the construction projects that I've been on is that when you're doing self-storage, it's really kind of an outdoor project. And so when the weather's bad, and really rain is not the issue, it's the lightning. So that's been a real challenge for those summer months. But thank God the weather's been nice. The guys are catching up, and hopefully we'll get this thing knocked out. We're having a lot of conversations right now with lenders. I've sent over pro formas and additional documents that they're asking for. So we've got a handful of commercial lenders that are looking at the project. However, we're going to do what I like to call dual track this project. And that is we're going to offer it for sale while at the same time we're going to be offering, we'll be seeking refinance from the banks. So we'll see whichever hits first is what we'll take. I believe this project to be worth north of $1.6 million. We're going to see what the demand looks like. Our current pro forma has us at $83 per unit per month at 85% occupancy, which puts us at a 6.5 cap, puts us at about 1 point. In fact, let me pull it up real quick since I'm sitting right here. I've got my Google Drive open. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I will pull this up. I hadn't planned on looking at it, but since we're talking about numbers here, let's do this. Let me share the screen with you guys so you can see it. All right, here we go. This is the pro forma we've been working on since we purchased the project. And you can see here, these are our current over under numbers for the rehab. But let me zoom in a little bit, especially those of y'all who are on a phone. I know this looks like an eye test, but 128 units, $83 per unit, 10% vacancy, so 90% occupied. That gives us I like to call it cost of goods sold. That's not really in real estate. They call it gross income, which gives you a total of about 115,000 bucks. And then this is taxes 5,600, insurance 8,600. We're getting a quote right now. We're currently in a builder's risk policy that renews, I want to say November 7th. Brian, my business partner, actually just went and got his insurance license. So he's shopping that for us. I said, I don't think we need anything related to builder's risk, construction insurance, because the building envelope is technically closed. So I think we can go ahead and just get regular old commercial insurance with a substantial general liability policy and loss of rents. I expect it's going to be less than that, but that's where we're at. I went ahead and budgeted $500 a month for our automation and payment services. I think it's going to be way less than that. However, I went ahead and put that on there. And then utilities. The only utility we have there is electric. If you guys recall from last week's update, Jeff and I went back and forth about adding solar. For those of you who are electrical engineers or got a little bit of experience in this, essentially we have 128 60-watt LED bulbs. And the likelihood that they're all going to be on at the same time is pretty low. So I think and this is just kind of pulling the number out of a hat, if you will. I think 10, 15 grand tops for a large battery backup and some solar panels on one of the units, in particular where the service comes in, would be more than enough to power this thing. So saving $3,000 a year in utilities at a 6.5 cap, I think adds actually, let me do the numbers for you real quick. Say $3,000 divided by 0.065. I mean, that adds $46,000 in value to the project. So spend 10, 15 grand, get 46 grand back. I mean, sounds like a deal to me. So in any case, we're looking at that, but we really don't want to do that until it's operational. And like I said, the utility bills are going to be nothing. But it's like with any of these commercial accounts, it's usually a couple $100 minimum per month, regardless of how much you've actually used. So that's really why we'd want to get rid of that. So net income 91,550, which puts us at 1.4 million bucks. That is what we are going to offer this for sale for anybody who wants to buy it as we're coming, as the construction is coming to close. $1.4 million. As we lease this thing up, we're going to be asking for more. My guess is, and having a lot of conversations with folks, we are probably at 125 a door. And you can see that puts you at about $2.3 million at 6.5 cap. I've got a buddy of mine who's selling a self-storage right now at 5.5. So fully leased up, 125 a door, 5.5 cap puts us 2.7 million. So in any case, we've got a lot of options here. We want to leave a lot of meat on the bone because we're already looking for our next project. And I think our next project is going to be a new build. I'd really like to do a new build. This was probably more complicated than a new build, but I really would like to do a new build. Just to give you guys an update on the construction, this is kind of where we're at. Let me back up real quick here so y'all can see the whole thing. This is what I had budgeted here. And then this is what the actual was. And then there's the difference. So we made some changes mid through the project, kind of mid game, if you will. One of them was the garage doors, and that was a big expense. We had budgeted about $58,000 to fix them. And Jeff and I always had this internal conversation like, hey, if new garage doors are 20 to 40%, close to the same cost, then let's possibly just go ahead and replace them. And they ended up being about 40%, about 38% more. Actually, it's right there. And we said, screw it, let's just replace them. One of the reasons we wanted to replace them is you can't find parts for those doors anymore. And they're not wind rated either. So Alvin is obviously located down here pretty far south. And I can't remember what wind rating we needed, 110, 120 miles an hour, whatever it was. It really only added $50 per door for the extra hardware. But I'd rather have wind rated doors in a relatively wind-proof, if you will, building. That way we don't have to deal with, the nonsense with hurricanes and all that. And by the way, we're going to put all that in our insurance application for the named windstorm. And it should be substantially less expensive. A couple other things. We went ahead and demoed. Our demo ended up being significantly more expensive for two reasons. One is we had to demo all those garage doors. We had 128 garage doors we had to get rid of. And then the second reason was when we really went through all the units, the interior walls, a lot of the interior walls were permeable, meaning they were like sheetrock or, particle board, that kind of stuff. And we just made the executive decision, let's just use corrugated steel, the same steel that we use in the exterior of the building and the roof. Let's just replace it. It'll be 10 times better, and it'll be worth if you look at the difference here, it'll be worth the $42,000 long term, just because you won't have moisture issues and all that stuff. It was just a game time decision. Let's do it. We save big time on the roof. I was getting quotes early on at like 128 G's for the roof, and I'm like, that is absolutely absurd. There is no way we need an entire new roof. We got our guys up there, and they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to replace the panels that need to be replaced. And if you're familiar with metal roofing, they have these little seals that go around the screws. He said, we're just going to replace all the little screws and all the seals, and then we're going to paint it, and that should take care of 99% of it. It was a huge savings, so you can see that there. Paint and electrical, these haven't been completed yet, so that's why they're not filled in. But that's where we're at on the project. Like I said, we're November 1st, somewhere around there. We should have the first building. We should have the website up. We'll start leasing. So that's where we're at. Oh, the other big one was concrete. So we went back and forth on, do we just throw in like a caliche? That's that white rock that you get down here in Texas. Do we throw in a caliche driveway, or do we do something a little bit nicer? Do we do concrete? And I was getting quotes for concrete at $7 and $8 a square foot. And I was like, man, that's absurd. And we had a long conversation with our project manager. We were able to get it down to $5.50 a square foot. That is dirt freaking cheap. I'll tell you what drives the price on concrete is a little bit on labor, but really it's the steel for the rebar. And here's what I'll tell you. The concrete driveways, when we paint this thing, it's going to look so incredibly nice. And it's really just going to look good. So in any case, that's where we're at. You guys have the Google Drive link, so you can take a look at the pictures and all that. For those of you invested in the project, the financials will be in there. They should be updated here in the next week or two. And that's where we're at. So thanks for everybody that joined. If you've got any questions, feel free to send me a text or Jeff, and we will get back to you. Thanks for watching, guys.